Well, howdy there, folks. Hope everybody's doing phenomenal as always. Welcome in, welcome in. Howdy, chat. Wow, we got some crazy moves out there today. Some moves that I'm like, what in the flippin' flapjacks is going on? Where we'll actually start today is kind of looking at my stocks that I own. Elf on a Shelf down 11% here today. I looked for news in regards to Elf because I saw that move. It was actually 12% plus earlier. And I looked, and oh, by the way, happy Halloween, everybody. Happy Halloween. A little bit of a scary day out there just for some stocks, not all stocks. But Elf on a Shelf was down as much as 12% earlier, to be honest. So I was looking, and I was like, what happened? Like, what is going on? I couldn't find anything. So I looked, I looked for news. I Googled news. I couldn't find anything on Twitter. It was just a strange massive move down for Elf. And if you don't know, Elf on a Shelf reports to earnings tomorrow after the bell. It's going to be one of the stocks we react to tomorrow, right? Obviously, today is going to be very focused on AMD and potentially First Solar too, because that's going to be an interesting one on seeing how that could affect Enphase after the bell. But Elf on a Shelf, other than PayPal, Elf on the Shelf is probably the number 2 most important stock that is reporting earnings tomorrow. Obviously, Etsy, Airbnb, Qualcomm, those guys are all reporting. But yeah, so wild in regards to Elf on a Shelf. Then we have the Planet here up almost 20%. I don't know what is going on with the Planet today. Like, what in the world? I doubt there's any news in regards to Planet unless I missed something. Anybody have any news on Planet? That baby's up 20% here today. Revolve's making a big upward move, about 6%. Fubo's having a pretty good day. It's probably momentum going into earnings. Obviously, earnings come out Friday before the bell, and probably some positioning in Fubo, I would guess, before earnings. Some people assuming subscriber numbers going to be really strong, guidance is going to be really strong, things like that. Maybe the losses are cut down lower than people expect next quarter, things like that. We have Palantir green here today, PayPal green here today. Shopify green today, not too crazy green. Meta is red today. Interesting. Meta is red. We have Wynn Resorts red, SDAO obviously red since Dow's green. Navan's down today. Obviously, Elf's a huge downward mover. Pfizer and WBA are about break even. Amazon's eking out a little bit of a green move there. Check out the safety stocks watch list here today. Man. Kellanova, or WK Kellogg, this is the cereal side of the business, getting hit again today. Kraft Heinz down, Costco down, Dollar General down. Are we talking jam or are we talking jelly? I should make an emote that's a jam or jelly emote. That would be entertaining. That baby's about break even here today. And it looks like the best winner chicken dinner of safety stocks today is Target. At a 2.2% move up there. Let's check out my possible buys watch list here today. I like to see this list red because it's possible buys, so I want these stocks as cheap as possible, so a little disappointed. Avant's down about 4% here today. Other than that, not a lot happening there. Dutch Bros is down a little bit. I would love to start a position in Dutch Bros. I'm just being very patient in regards to Dutch Bros. And I'll continue to be patient in regards to Dutch Bros. I'd like to see Win red here today. Align's a stock I could be buying somewhat soon. We'll see. I have not started a position yet, but it's definitely on my radar, along with a lot of stocks. I mean, the problem is, look at how big my possible buy list is. I mean, look at this. Oh, and by the way, did you see a new stock snuck on there? Did you see that, guys? A new stock snuck on the list. Yep. A new stock snuck on there. It's potential. It's a potential. We'll see. 6 stocks I'm hedged against. Obviously, on a green day like today, the hedges are not going to be doing too well. They're not getting devastated here today, but yeah, Polaris up 2%, Tesla up 2%, Chipotle up 2%, Toll Brothers up 2%, Apple's around break even. SDAO is obviously down today since the Dow's up. If we look at AI stocks watch list here today, NVIDIA is actually down. That one I believe hit. Where did NVIDIA hit today, folks? NVIDIA went way low toward the open. NVIDIA hit 392. 392 for NVIDIA very shortly after open here today on some rumors that they're going to have to cancel some orders for chips that are going to China, things like that. By the way, hello everybody in the chat. Appreciate the love. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here also. We got Meta obviously down here today. Google McDougal. Do I have Google McDougal on my possible buys list? Because I need to add that if I don't. I got to add Google McDougal on there, folks. Yep. Here we go, Google. You're going on there too. There's too many damn stocks. Too many stocks that I want to buy in this market. I mean, look at this. Look at this list of possible buys. I mean, this is out of control, folks. I could honestly add more stocks too. I mean, it's getting out of control. There's too many damn stocks that are potential buys out there right now. Way too many. Way too many. Banking related. SoFi is a big winner chicken dinner here today. 7% move. SoFi is just a crazy stock. You know, just the stock of SoFi is wild. I mean, completely wild the way that one reacts. I mean, the move yesterday, it was up huge. Next thing you know, it's negative. Then today it's up 8%. I mean, just a crazy stock. Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank is red here today. We take a peek at big tech. Obviously, we spoke about NVIDIA, Meta, Google down. Tesla's actually the biggest winner chicken dinner here today. And Tesla very shortly after the open hit 194 a share. Right now trading at 202, so a little comeback there. AMD reports in the next, in less than an hour from now. So, actually 45 minutes from now or so, AMD numbers are coming out. And AMD is having a pretty good day going into these earnings, so maybe some folks are bullish. It could be a little bit of FOMO in regards to something like an AMD, where people look at a stock like that and they're a little fearful in terms of like, man, if I want to start a position under 100, I need to get in now because maybe after earnings it pops to 105, 110, 115, something like that. So I think that's kind of the view, a little bit of FOMO there, and we'll see if people are right to kind of FOMO in here or not very shortly, right? The only good news for AMD is expectations are on the floor. Bad news is if they miss those numbers. Despite that, that's really bad. Looks like everything on my Kathy Wood watch list is green here today. Commodities. Ooh. That's what I'm talking about, baby. That's what I'm talking about, baby. WTI, 80 bucks. 80 bucks here today, folks. Good news. GSG down a 0.5 percentage point here today. Very good. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's the type of stuff we need to see over this next few months, folks. If you want to kill down this inflation once and for all, we can't have WTI rolling. We can't have GSG rolling. We need to see those ones continue to get hit, okay? Bottom line. As far as the Dow 30 goes, there's two bad stocks here today, and then everything else is break even or decently green here in the Dow. The bad stock, Caterpillar. Caterpillar down over 6% here today. The cat. Amgen down about 3.5% here for Amgen. So, yeah. Let's see. Do not disturb. There we go. Yeah, big move down for Cat. We'll have to look at Cat's earnings or guidance or whatever happened there. I heard about some weakness in China. So we'll see what's going on there. On the Ecom watch list, everything is green here today. Chewy's the best mover on the Ecom watch list. Chewy's up about 4.5% here today. Affirm's up 2%, which makes me think do not disturb off. Why would do not disturb be off? I want do not disturb on. Yeah, do not disturb. On, baby. I want it on, like Donkey Kong. Let's see the slaughterhouse. That is FinTech. The slaughterhouse is all green here today, folks. SoFi green, almost 8%. Coinbase 4.5%. They do report earnings on Thursday after the bell, if I recall. Upstart up over 3%. Square up about 2.6% here today. Okay, do not disturb. You're a problem. You want to be a problem, do not disturb. You do you, I'll do me, okay? We got Affirmed green here today. PayPal's green here today. Wow, that's a miracle. Rocket green here today. The Hood also green here today. Look at Tesla into the close. They're doing pretty good here. Housing stocks. Woo! Zillow hit hard today. Look at Zillow. almost a 7% downward move for Zillow. We have Caterpillar down over 6%. Redfin's down to $4.66, folks. Oh my gosh. Redfin. United Rentals is red. John Deere is red. We have, what is this? Alexander Real Estate is this one? Alexandria Real Estate's down. We have WD-40 down here today. And then the best stock on housing stocks watch list is Whirlpool here today at about 2.5% move. I do want to start a Whirlpool position, but I'm hoping that one gets hit harder. I already checked out my stocks. Oil and gas is a mixed bag. BP down over 5%. I believe their earnings were this morning. Were they not? BP? Yeah, BP earnings were this morning, so we'll have to maybe, I don't know. I don't really care about BP. We probably won't take a look at their earnings, but we will take a look at Caterpillar's earnings in just a moment, because that's one I'm actually genuinely very intrigued with. What's going on with the cat? It's a little bit of a game of cat and mouse. My potential hedges watch list here today. Yeah. Interesting. If we look at my semiconductor watch list, green, but look at how weak the moves are, though. It just doesn't seem like a lot of faith in these moves. And if we check out travel stocks here today, Hawaiian Airlines back down to $4.26. Man, that one, it's ugly. And outside of that, not a lot of, travel's something I look at. My travel watch list is something I look at to see, are people really feeling confident about this market or not? Because I feel like if people are feeling really that confident, I feel that, travel rolls in that situation, along with small caps, right? So the fact that those ones are kind of weak here today, So, alrighty, so a few things I want to check out here. Still, we need to find out what's going on with the elf on a shelf. That's a crazy mover there. But, alrighty, so first thing I want to look at, what are they talking about here?
Between 42 and 4,400 or above.
Where will the S&P 500? Okay, fair question. Where will the S&P 500 end 2023? Under 4,200, between 4,200 and 4,400, or above 4,400? Everybody in the chat, what do you guys think? Right now, we're under 4,200 on the S&P 500. Do you guys think we stay under 4,200 by the end of the year? 42 to 44 or above 44? You are insanely bullish if you say we're going to be above 4,400. Dang, we got a few people that are major bulls in the chat. Woo! Few people that are major bulls. Looks like a lot of you guys are kind of in that 4,200 to 4,400 range, which I think's a safer bet. If you told me I had to pick one, I would probably say 4,200 to 4,400 as well. Being that so many on Wall Street want the Santa Claus rally to happen, maybe they come in and buy stocks as it is, right? So, yeah. Now, I want to look at Caterpillar earnings, because that's always CAT-IR. That's always an important stock to understand kind of what's going on with the economy. Now, the interesting thing with CAT is, obviously in the United States, we have some massive spending packages in right now, right, and going on. So that should help CAT's numbers, but I want to see their news release here. So let's take a peek. How many times I got to accept these damn cookies? Caterpillar should send me some free cookies for accepting all these cookies, okay? So highlights were third quarter 2023 sales and revenue increased 12% to $16.8 billion. That's a good number. Third quarter 2023 profit per share $5.45. Adjusted profit per share $5.52. Returned $1 billion to shareholders through dividends and share repurchases in the quarter. Okay. All right. That's it. That's it. What? All right. Let's see this. All right. Okay. So sales and revenue came in at $16.8 billion. That's versus $15 billion the same quarter last year. Very impressive. Profit per share came in at $5.45 for CAT versus $3.87. Very impressive. Adjusted profit per share $5.52 versus $3.95 in the same quarter last year. Once again, very impressive. The CEO says, I'd like to thank the global team for delivering another great quarter as demonstrated by our double-digit top-line growth, strong adjusted operating profit margin, and robust MENT free cash flow. We remain focused on supporting our customers' success in executing our strategy for long-term profitable growth, he says, okay? Now, if we look deeper into the numbers, construction industries was up 12%, resource industries up 9%, energy and transportation up 11%, all other segment up 3%. Okay. I want to hear what's going on for guidance. That's really what I'm looking for. I want to hear the guide. They must have put something in here in regards to guidance. Sales by geographic region. Whoa. Hold your horses for just a moment. Okay, so North America sales were up 31%. Probably a lot due in part to the whole big government packages right now. So Latin America, though, down 31% for CAT. Now, it's a much smaller market, obviously, so it doesn't affect the numbers as bad, but that's still a pretty startling number, down 31% year over year. EAME, which I assume would be, it can't be Europe, Asia, because they have Asia Pacific below. So it's probably Europe, maybe Africa, Middle East. I would guess that's maybe it. That was up 8% for the company. Asia Pacific was down 8%. That's intriguing. Okay. So North America is what bailed out CAT's numbers. If it wasn't for North America, these CAT numbers would not be good at all, obviously, right? Sales decreased in Latin America primarily due to lower sales volumes, do you think? Partially offset by favorable price realization. Lower sales volume was driven by the impact from changes in dealer inventories and lower sales of equipment to end users. Dealer inventory increased during the quarter of 2022 compared to with a decrease in the third quarter of 2023. So still looking for any sort of guidance from CAT. Where you put your guidance at, CAT? That's what I want to see. Come on, man. Where's the CAT guide? Caterpillar balance sheet, by the way. $6.5 billion roughly of cash and cash equivalents. Nice. Total assets are up to almost $87 billion in total assets versus total liabilities of about $66 billion. So that makes $20 billion plus in stockholder equity there. Where's the guide at, man? Like, am I missing it? Like, where's your guide, Cat? Maybe they only say it on the conference call. Maybe Cat only says their guide on the conference call. So let's see. We'll go to Seeking Alpha here and see if we can find something. Because the earnings are pretty darn good. By the way, look at that move down for CAT. I mean, so October 17th, which was basically exactly 2 weeks ago, $272 stock. And here today, trading $225. That is a pretty violent move down. Let's see. Yeah, so Caterpillar non-beat EPS. Wow, they beat by quite a bit. And then they beat by $240 million as far as revenue goes. Caterpillar stock falls amid investor growth concerns. Caterpillar fell as much as 7% after the maker of construction equipment and heavy machinery reported quarterly results, a sign that investors are less optimistic about the future. Its profit rose 37%, blah, blah, blah. We already know that. Revenue rose 12%. We already know that. Among its $1.82 billion increase in sales from a year earlier, Caterpillar attributed $1.3 billion to higher prices and $351 million to higher sales volumes. As inflation rate falls from a year ago, pricing gains may be more difficult to achieve. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. And we still didn't get a guide. Come on, man. Where's the flip and flapjack and guidance? Let's pull up the earnings call transcript. We're going to go really in depth here. Is this not the transcript? Oh, there's a transcript. Let's pull up the transcript. Maybe we'll get something here. In addition, we ended the quarter with a healthy backlog of $28 billion in backlog. It's a big number, but then again, they did. What was the number for revenue they just did? It was a pretty dang big number. So, I mean, $28 billion sounds like a huge backlog, but they just put up a pretty huge number, right? So they put up 16.8 billion. So it sounds like a massive backlog, but really that's probably a quarter and a half to 2 quarters worth of revenue there. So it sounds like, wow, that must last years, but really it's only a quarter, 2 quarters worth, right? As I mentioned, demand remains healthy in most of our end markets due to improving supply chain conditions. Product availability and lead times have improved for many products. Dealers and customers can wait longer to place orders, which has led to a moderation in order rates as expected. In addition, we have seen a reduction in dealer orders for building construction products, which we anticipated due to the changeover to Cat engines that we previously discussed, and for excavation in anticipation of dealers reducing their inventories in the fourth quarter. Although our backlog declined as expected, it still remains elevated as a percentage of revenues compared to historical levels. While we continue to closely monitor global macroeconomic conditions, we now expect our full year 2023 results to be better than we anticipated during our last conference call. Okay, well that's good, right? So where is this fear coming from? I mean, so far I haven't really seen anything that makes me say, oh boy, that's scary for them. Oh boy, this is going to be a problem. Adjusted operating profit margin increased to 20.8% in the third quarter, a 430 basis point increase over year. I mean, that's impressive. In North America overall, we continue to see positive momentum. We expect continued growth in non-residential construction in North America due to the impact of government-related infrastructure investments, absolutely, and a healthy pipeline of construction projects. Although residential construction has moderated, we expect it to remain healthy. Okay, that's an interesting stance. In Asia Pacific, excluding China, we expect growth in construction industries due to public infrastructure spending in support of commodity prices. As we have mentioned during previous earnings calls, we anticipate continued weakness in China, and expect it to remain well below our typical range of 5 to 10% of enterprise sales. China's the problem.
On a weekly basis for quite a while now. So, that's not going to change.
That was Caterpillar.
So I think trend and momentum favor the downside. It could be a situation, look, I think they report November 21st or something. So that's still about 3 weeks away. It could be down to the 208 before that point, and then the risk reward might be a little more favorable. But I think here and now, still favors some caution.
What about mega caps in general? I mean, I guess now, presumably, you must think that those are going to break down as well. It's not just going to be NVIDIA.
Yeah, look, this is something we've been talking about, all year long, really. And, throughout the summer, the mega caps, significantly diverged to the upside, but you never really got any sustained confirmation by smaller mid caps or the average stock. To be honest, the average stock peaked February 2nd and never really reclaimed that level. So,
all right, question for you guys: you can only buy one stock, only one, NVIDIA or AMD. Which one do you buy? Only can pick one, NVIDIA or AMD.
The October.
And by the way, I'm about to get in the chat right now.
You've seen other names kind of falter. So I think you're continuing to see this thinning of the leadership stocks, and ultimately
a lot of NVIDIAs.
As bear markets unfold, that's when you get the final
last man
standing, if you will, which was the crux of our note. Come after the king, you best not miss, and that's really NVIDIA. It's the best performing stock in the S&P 500 year to date and from the October lows. So we think it's probably the last man standing. Ultimately, that brings the NASDAQ 100 down with it as well.
Well, NVIDIA definitely won that.
I mean, we're at 4,200, and now we enter what is historically the strongest month of the year, followed by the second strongest
overvalued.
How vulnerable then does that leave the S&P, and are you writing off the chances of a late year rally?
So we actually put out a note this week, and we do think the odds actually for November to finish higher are decent. We're down 3 straight months. We haven't been down 4 straight since 2011. We haven't been down 4 straight ending in November since 1946, meaning August through November have not been down consecutively, in over 60 years. So odds do favor an up November. The issue is we don't think it's a straight line. We don't think you start off November 1st and go to the upside. We think there's unfinished business lower, maybe 3950 to 4,000 in the S&P. I think there's still too many people banking on this year-end rally. I think you got to shake out a little bit more of that optimism, and that could be a nice setup. As
there are a lot of people banking on, especially Wall Street, is banking on the year-end rally, 100%.
As well. We end the year on the S&P below 4,200, or are we between 42 and 4,400, or above 4,400? What do you think is most likely to happen?
I think you probably are ending below 4,200. Again,
wow, he's bearish.
But if you're trading down to 3950,
Krinsky's bearish.
That's going to be tough to reclaim for 4,200 in our view.
All right, we'll talk to you soon, Jonathan. Thank you, Jonathan Krinsky, BTIG, joining us. Up next, we're tracking the biggest movers as we head to the close. Christina Partsinevelos is standing by with that. Christina?
What is going on with chip stocks today? Wolfspeed is up over 20%, while Lattice is in the complete opposite direction. We discussed what's driving that volatility right after the show.
Wow, that's an intense flip and flapjack and move. Ooh, Tesla's weakening a little bit here into the close. Interesting. All right, I'm going to get in the chat here. Somebody asked, somebody said, I'm about to buy PayPal before the close. Okay. Somebody asked if I was nervous for PayPal. 0% nervous, because regardless, it's a win. Like, PayPal goes down, I buy more shares because I'm buying that stock until, basically into the first quarter of 2024, and then I'll stop buying it. So that makes me not nervous at all. If it goes up, it's so far from a price I'm going to sell at. So honestly, I'm 0% nervous for PayPal. 0%. If I already had my position fully built out in PayPal, I'd probably feel a little bit different. I probably would feel a little bit nervous, because then I start rooting for the stock to go up if I already fully built out a position. But when I still got more to buy, which I do for the next, at least couple months here, no, not nervous at all. Let me pull back up Tesla. Really interested to see this one into the close here today. It's going to be a battle between the bulls and the bears in regards to Tesla, and if this baby closes over 200 or under 200. This is going to be intriguing close here. Let's see here. Somebody asked if I would buy ELF at today's current price. Well, I was actually considering earlier buying some ELF here today. Wow, Planet's now up 21%. What a move. That stock's crazy, man. 21 flip and flapjack in percent for the Planet today? That seems... yeah, that's a move. But I mean, it's a 63-cent stock, so I guess it's just crazy volatile now. Wow. But I'm also surprised Avant's not running with it. Because, I would know, like, the Planet's up 20+%, I would assume Avant would have ran 5-10% today as well. So it's interesting Planet's up that much. Elon is already preparing employees to move to X for all banking needs. Yeah, we'll see. It's very, very difficult. And you're competing against companies that are just very damn hard to compete with. If he wants to go after the banking space, think about the companies he's got to compete against. He's got to compete against JP Morgan. I'm not moving my money from JP Morgan. Like, there's nowhere I would feel better holding money than JP Morgan, right? He's got to compete against companies like SoFi. If you want to compete on a payment app, then you got to compete against Cash App, Venmo, PayPal that already have scale. And it's so hard to build that. Once you reach scale as a fintech company, it's almost like reaching scale as a social media. It's hard for somebody to take that scale away from you, unless your product is so differentiated, so much better than anybody else has, and he's not going to create something like that, right? It's impossible. Like, that's already been done. That's called Venmo. That's called PayPal. If you use Cash App and you're a criminal, if you use Cash App, maybe that's Cash App for you. So there's just not much to be done there on that front at all. So, that's just trying to basically build a business that, Elon's best when he can create something that is so differentiated versus everybody else. And you can't do that in payments. There's just not that opportunity. With EVs, there was that opportunity, right? And with self-driving vehicles and things like that. With the fintech space, there's just not that opportunity. It's all been done. It's all being done by other companies. PayPal has medium-term issues to solve. Everyone's looking to move into their space. That's nothing new, just to be quite frank. Everybody's been competing there for pretty much 10 years now, so it's really nothing new, just to be honest. What's going on with Elf on a Shelf? We couldn't find it. We haven't found what's going on with Elf on a Shelf, so we don't know. I was considering buying it earlier today, but yeah, I don't know what the heck's going on with Elf on a Shelf. Okay, got filled. So yeah, I just bought one contract right there for PayPal, 2025 expiration, December 19th of 2025, so basically almost 2026. 62.50. I don't like to play too dangerous. If I'm going to do leaps, I want to do something closer to the money. Yeah, I won't make as much if PayPal goes to 200 over the next few years, but I'd rather play it a little safer than not. I paid a little over $10 for that, so my break even is I need PayPal, basically going into 2026, I need PayPal 70, a little over $70, like let's say 73 to break even. And then obviously if PayPal's, $100 something at that time, I'll be looking really good. If it's 200 something, then that's a whole game changer right there, right? Somebody asked for my opinion on the take on the war and I guess what's going on in the Middle East. I don't feel I'm educated enough on the subject to really speak about it like that. I only like to speak about subjects if I really feel like I'm very well educated on that particular subject, and I just feel like I don't have a high enough level of knowledge in regards to that, really have an opinion. So, and I feel like that's an approach a lot more people should take in the world, like, speak about things if you really know your stuff inside out on the subject, otherwise just leave it alone. That's kind of where I'm at. By the way, JetBlue, $3 here today.
And that we are still early.
AMD earnings coming up.
It's always volatile. Like, I get it, but it's usually been a good thing to buy it during these periods of volatility when everybody else is punting it.
Let's also say the valuation is actually... Yes, we will, and we will see you in overtime, I'm sure. Contestant Brewer, thank you very much for that.
Here we go, folks. Almost clap time.
Nice little move, Mike, into the close before we get that Fed chair tomorrow, gun lock to follow, Apple, jobs report, and who knows what else.
Yeah, and that positive over the past 2 days that at least the market was able to respond in a tentative way to the fact that it was super oversold. Maybe we're having a little bit of a lift in the tax loss selling by mutual funds and all the things we know were coming together for a very weak end to October. That said,
Arista Network's up almost 14%.
Wow. They were stretched way to the downside.
Russell leading.
Yes. So you have Russell leading, you have financials up again, and all the rest. So I think the market likes, as I always say, to pull itself onto more even footing before a Fed meeting. A lot to prove.
Texas Roadhouse back over 100.
Technical indicators
Roadhouse.
you look at that say, how do corrections tend to
kind of want to go down though.
We're in the vicinity in time of when these things start to fire and say we might have a low, but usually, or often at least, in many instances, the market has to go to a final low before you get there. So, usually you're pretty close in time. Usually the market doesn't spend a ton of time at the very low of a correction, but it's treacherous footing until we get through some of these catalysts.
Let's say, too, look, the other day we were saying, all right, 4,100 is we're going to get there, and here we are on the doorstep again of 40.
The intraday low was 4103 or something, and it was also...
AMD earnings coming, baby. AMD earnings coming in the next few minutes. Let's go.
Megan Shu of Wilmington Trust. Guys, welcome. Megan, you're still cautious as we head into November, which we're going to kick off with a Fed meeting and then end with the most important retail week of the year. So between yields
finished over 200
and consumer
Tesla.
demand, what's November going to be more about, you think?
Yeah, I think November is going to be a pivotal point for the economy and for companies as we look at coming off of a very strong third quarter, which may have been a pull forward of demand. It may have been some statistical anomalies as we look at the economic data, but we expect a pretty decent amount of slowing to occur in the fourth quarter. And I think that will turn the focus to profitability. Companies that have really sound balance sheets.
AMD is going to move NVIDIA after hours.
To invest in different projects and technology. And I think the focus will be shifting towards.
So we're all waiting on, First Solar stock going down even though they beat earnings. Waiting on these AMD results. AMD is going to move NVIDIA after hours here, folks. And so this is going to be very interesting. And when NVIDIA moves, you talk about the Qs moving. And when you talk about the Qs moving, you talk about the S&P 500 moving. And when you talk about the S&P 500 moving, you're talking about everybody's money moving here, folks. So AMD should be out any moment. I'm just waiting on these AMD results, and then we'll play our guessing of the public account, how much it was up or down today. Wow. Folks, look at that. Caterpillar quarter to date so far, which we're only a month into the quarter, right? Caterpillar's down 17% plus. Holy smokers. That's no dang jokus. Earnings alert, earnings alert. Oh my gosh, guys, what did I just tell you? I told you you can't miss in this market. You miss in this market, you go to the slaughterhouse. Oh my gosh. They only missed by $5 million on revenue. The stock is down 27% after hours, folks. Holy smokes, you can't do it. You can't freaking do it in this market. You do it and you're getting slaughtered. Oh my word. That's vicious. Absolutely brutal. Brutal. 374, so basically the stock's been about cut in half now at this point in time, just in the past 52 weeks. Wow. Wow, wow. Holy smokes. Okay, folks, what's going on here with AMD? Let's go. Let's see. AMD IR. Problem is, a lot of times CNBC has the numbers before they have them listed on the page. Okay, third quarter results. AMD, here we go, folks. AMD announced revenue 2023, $5.8 billion. Okay, first off, let's pull up what the expectations were for AMD. Because obviously the company's not going to put that on their page here. Earnings estimates, quarterly. So analysts were at, revenue-wise, analysts were at $5.69 billion, it looks like. AMD came in with $5.8 billion, so slight beat on revenue. Gross margin 47%, operating income $224, net income $299, diluted EPS 18 cents. On a non-GAAP basis, gross margin blah blah blah. Diluted EPS 70 cents here. Okay, and analysts were at 68 cents. So it looks like very slight beats for AMD. Problem is, in this market, the market wants to see something better than slight beats in this market. We're in a very difficult market. We delivered strong revenue and earnings growth driven by demand for our Ryzen 7000 series PC processor and our record server processor sales, said Lisa Su, CEO. Our data center business is on a significant growth trajectory based on the strength of our EPYC CPU portfolio, in-ramp and Instinct MI300 accelerator shipments to support multiple deployments with hyperscale enterprise and AI customers. We executed well in the third quarter, delivering year-over-year growth in revenue, gross margin, and earnings per share, said the CFO of the company. In the fourth quarter, we expect to see strong growth in data center and continued momentum in client, partially offset by lower sales in the gaming segment and additional softening demand in the embedded markets, which would go more into the Xilinx portion of AMD's business. Very important. Revenue for the company up 4% year over year in this quarter. Gross profit up 17% year over year. Gross margin up 5 points. That's pretty darn impressive. We have operating expenses up 4%, so roughly in line with revenue as a percent. Operating income up 450%. Impressive. But those numbers were horrible last year at this quarter. And net income up 353%. Here we go.
In the fourth quarter, we expect to see strong growth in data center and continued momentum in
lower than expected outlook.
PCs, partially offset by lower sales in the gaming segment and additional softening of demand in the embedded markets. The embedded markets is the programmable chips. We saw weakness from Lattice just yesterday. We saw weakness in Intel's programmable chips business as well. So that category doing a little bit weaker and expected to be weaker in Q4. You can see shares are dropping 4.5%, partially because probably of that Q4 revenue guidance.
Embedded too, you point that out. I had seen some analyst expectations of $1.32 billion in revenue in Q3 for that, and it looks like they turned in 1.2. That's a pretty profitable business for them, no? And a little bit of a miss. That's the one line?
Yeah, that's what I was referring to. So that's 1.2 billion, down 5% year over year. To your point, yes, that is a miss if you're using the FactSet estimates of 1.3 billion. So they missed an embedded. They were in line with gaming. They were higher with clients, and they.
So far, NVIDIA is not having a big, AMD's not having a big impact on NVIDIA so far.
Ed Bush, Senior Vice President of Equity Research, Matt Bryson, he has an outperform rating on the stock. Matt, the embedded line.
He's like, oh, damn, I don't want to talk about this right now.
Results seem to be the sticking point. And then how do you feel about the guidance?
Yeah, so with embedded, they've told us that embedded's going to get a bit weaker. You heard from Intel that Altera, their FPGA segment, is going to get a lot weaker in the second half.
Woo! 155 price target?
There. I think a lot is going to depend upon how they frame guidance. So the concern has been largely their CPU shipments into servers. And so it's, when you look at that 6.1 billion number, it's what is the makeup of that number? If servers grow, if they have positive things to say about where MI300 is, in terms of they certainly said in production shipments this quarter, but they have good things to say about it moving into 2024. I think that will allay a lot of concerns.
Is this a sort of situation where we could see this stock move around quite a bit after hours based on that conference call commentary? I mean, I know that investors have been punishing stocks during this cycle for even a little bit of bad news, but AI is such an important story in the market this year, and AMD's got quite a bit to say about it.
Yeah, no, I certainly, I think that, you know, depending upon what that Q4 makeup is, what they have to say about 2024, that's going to be largely deterministic in terms of where the stock ends up. Again, more positive comments around AI because it is so important, more color around what's going on in the standard server market, particularly if that's getting better or they can offer some hope that that gets better early in 2024. I think that would be viewed positively by the street.
What about AI for clients? We just heard from Apple overnight. They've got new M3 chips that are going across their Mac line, and they gained a whole lot of share over the past couple years with this M series chip that they've got. Do we need to see that from AMD? More specifics on when their heterogeneous computing strategy is going to show up even more in clients?
I think with AMD, it's a little bit less important in the sense that it certainly is important that they have a strategy, just as it's important that Intel has a strategy. But both of those companies are very tied to what Microsoft is able to offer. So how Copilot rolls out, I think at this point, the expectation is that it's second half of 2024, 2025, when you see that type of silicon gain traction. And I think for AMD, it's on the PC side, it's more important in terms of how they compete against Intel versus, say, where Apple is today. Because, again, Intel's got about 80% of the market. AMD only has 20% of the Microsoft market, but Apple's more like 10% of the total market. So it's, you know, it's still more important that they compete well against Intel.
Yep. We'll watch how they do on the margins as well. Matt Bryson, thank you. When we come back, first on CNBC, interview with the Council of Economic Advisors Chair Jared Bernstein ahead of tomorrow's Fed decision and Friday's jobs report. His read on the economy.
So, you know, the great thing about AMD stock is it has a very cult-like shareholder base. So I feel like there's going to be probably continued buyers stepping in that will kind of put a floor under the stock for the most part, right? Because a lot of people look at AMD and they say, well, you know what? Yeah, business isn't that exciting right now, but wait till 2024 when we start having that AI revenue start to kick in a major way. And that's a thought process in regards to AMD, right? I mean, if I look at AMD as a buy, I would look at it the same exact way. I'd say, well, you know what? Yeah, business isn't the strongest right now, but just wait. AMD's been lagging NVIDIA by about a year when it comes to the AI side. The AI revenue starts to hit in 2024, and the story gets a lot more compelling for AMD in 2024 than it certainly was in 2023, and gets more compelling in 25 and beyond, right? And so that's a really good thing in regards to AMDs. I think there's definitely a lot of those type of shareholders that are going to buy this dip, right? And say, okay, you give me AMD stock at $93. Okay, you give me AMD stock at $94. I'll take those shares off your hands. And so that's what I think is likely going to transpire. Now, the interesting thing is that this isn't having much of an impact on NVIDIA. NVIDIA is only about a 1% down after hours right now. So it looks like people are viewing this as like, this is AMD's problem or situation or whatnot. And that's what's going on there, right? By the way, Paycom's still getting wrecked, 25%. That'll be interesting to see if that one's down 25% tomorrow or 30%. Holy smokers, that's no dang jokers. Now, back to the AMD results, right? I mean, overall, the numbers are pretty impressive on a year-over-year basis, certainly. And even if you look at a quarter-over-quarter basis, still pretty impressive as well. If you want to look at non-GAAP, so the first was generally accepting accounting principles. Now, if we want to look at non-GAAP numbers, so you can take some things out here and there. Basically, revenue up 4% year-over-year, gross profit up 7% year-over-year. Operating expenses up 12% year-over-year on a non-GAAP basis. So you don't want to see that because that's obviously a far faster clip of growth than, let's say, revenue going up there. So no bueno. Operating margin down 1 point. Net income up 4% year-over-year. So data center is kind of flattish right now. Client segment revenue was $1.5 billion. The one thing that could be a little bit scary with AMD is what if their business actually is going to deteriorate further in maybe 24 is not a recovery year? Because I think everybody has baked in that AMD is going to have a nice recovery year in 24, but what if it's not that situation? And that is something that has to be considered here in regards to AMD, right? Gaming segment revenue was down 8% year over year for the company. Embedded segment down 5%. If I recall, the embedded segment is more the Xilinx side of the business, so do keep that in mind. By the way, hello everybody in the chat. I'm going to jump back in the chat in here in just a moment. And by the way, chat, let me know if you guys are happy. You know, if you're an AMD shareholder, are you happy with these results? Are you not happy with these results? Love to hear from you guys. And also, make sure you're subscribed if you got Amazon Prime. That way, Twitch doesn't show you a bunch of ads on here because they do like these 3-minute ad breaks. So do keep that in mind. They have a bunch of announcements here we already kind of know about in regards to AMD. I want to hear current outlook. AMD's outlook statements are based upon current expectations. The following statements are forward-looking, and actual results could differ materially, blah, blah, blah. For the fourth quarter of 2023, AMD expects revenue to be approximately $6.1 billion, plus or minus $300 million. So 6.1 is the midpoint for AMD. Analysts were at, damn, that's not good, folks. Analysts were at nearly $6.4 billion. 33 analysts look like they have numbers out here on Seeking Alpha. And so about 6.4 was expected. So that's not ideal. Certainly not ideal. That AMD's at 6.1. Now the good news is, technically, if they hit the highest end of the range, right? Because you say plus or minus 300 million, so that could be 6.4 billion, right? And 6.4 billion would be in line with what analysts are expecting here. So you could say maybe Lisa Su is sandbagging a little bit. That's a potential. Maybe Lisa Su sandbagging a little bit. But also you could say on the flip side, they could do 5.8. And if they did 5.8 on the bad side, well, shoot. There's a big difference between 5.8 billion and 6.4 billion. 6.1 billion revenue at the midpoint of our revenue range. That represents year-over-year growth of approximately 9% and sequential growth of approximately 5%. Non-GAAP gross margin is expected to be approximately 51.5% for non-GAAP gross margin, which is a very healthy number overall. I want to look at AMD's BS, their balance sheet. What are we looking at for AMD's balance sheet here? So AMD, about $3.5 billion of cash and cash equivalents, about $2.2 billion of short-term investments. Okay, good numbers. $16 billion plus in current assets versus current liabilities. We're sitting at $7.6 billion. Total assets, $67 billion in total assets versus total liabilities of, I guess they don't put it on here. Great job, AMD. Total stockholder equity, $54 billion. They don't have crap for liabilities on the company. That's actually really impressive. That's very, very impressive. Wow. So AMD's balance sheet's definitely in a, what I would call a good spot. Long-term debt, $1.7 billion net of current portion. And once again, that's versus $3.5 billion plus of cash equivalents and $2.2 billion of short-term investments. So very, very impressive. in regards to AMD's balance sheet. So, I mean, to be clear about the state of AMD, based upon their earnings and their numbers they just came in with, right? Those are good. Those are, really good numbers by AMD. Not great, but they're good, solid numbers. But this market wants to see something better than solid, right? So AMD overall, the numbers were okay. The guidance was, not quite what Wall Street wanted. We'll see what happens. Like I said, when it comes to AMD, they got a very strong, like I said, cult-like shareholder base at that company. And I would expect there to be somewhat of a floor under the stock because there's always a lot of folks that want to buy AMD stock. And they're always going to look out to the future and say, yeah, it might not be the most exciting now, but, wait for a year from now or wait for a couple of years from now or something like that. So do keep that in mind. It doesn't seem like it's moving NVIDIA very big. So that's something to keep in mind. This Paycom company, which has to do with payments, talent acquisition, time, labor management, payroll, time management. This company just, not good. And so what did they say? You know what? Before we log off, we got to see what's going on with this Paycom because this could be important for the economy, folks. This could be important for the economy. This company deals with payroll, right? So anytime we're talking about a company that's dealing with payroll and things like that, I say, what exactly is going on here? Because that is, if there's something troubling there, then maybe we have some trouble with payrolls in general. Maybe there's job losses. I don't know. They talk about the quarter. I want to see what they're talking about for guidance here for this Paycom company. What's their guide looking like? Let's see. Balance sheet. Balance sheet not too bad at the company. They had obviously very clearly some pretty strong numbers on a year-over-year basis. Income statement looks pretty healthy, wealthy, and stealthy. I mean, look at this. Their net income went from 52 mil in the same quarter last year to 75 mil. Their revenues were up quite substantially. Those are impressive numbers. But where's the guide? Where's the guide? Where's the guide? That's what we're looking for. And there's no guide here. There it is. Financial outlook. Revenues are supposed to be in the range of 420 to 425. So we say 422,500,000 midpoint. Okay. And let's see. Was it Paycom? No. Let's see what analysts were at here. Analysts were at 452 for next quarter. Ooh, so 452. And this company is basically saying we're going to do 422. Wow. Okay, so there's a major discrepancy between what analysts had and what this company is expected to do. That's not good. That's bad. So something's troubling there, certainly, right? You can't do that in this market. You do that in this market, you get obliterated. You can't do that, man. So overall, like when Wall Street sees that miss as far as the guide for this upcoming quarter, like it's a vicious market, man. It's a brutal market, and you get slaughtered, and that's exactly what happened with Paycom here. It's a 26% down after hours because they're, let's call it $20 million off of what analysts were thinking they were going to do for next quarter. You can't do that in this market, folks. No, tomorrow, the biggest live stream maybe in the history of the Twitch channel so far, okay? PayPal. Obviously, we're going to react to Elf tomorrow too, Etsy, Airbnb as well, Solar Edge, which they already kind of pre-announced a little bit if I recall, right? And then Qualcomm. But PayPal's the big dog, so we might have the biggest live stream we've ever had on this channel tomorrow, folks. I'm going to start preparing a video right now for the main channel that's going to go into PayPal and Palantir. And that's what that video is going to cover, because obviously this is where everybody's focus is going to be for the next 48 hours, roughly. PayPal and Palantir. Wait a minute. We haven't played our game yet. It's time for game time, folks. How much was the public count up or down today? Everybody get in your guesses. I can't believe we forgot how to play the game. Holy smokers, this is no dang jokers. You guys got to start reminding me if I ever forget. Oh, no way. No freaking way. Come on. What is going on? We might have a winner. Wait a minute. Oh, somebody's super close. I'm going to be honest, somebody is insanely close. Like insanely close, folks, okay? You ready for the number? Here it is, folks. Here's what the public count was up or down today. Negative $252.15. So we had a few of you guys that were pretty darn close. Like somebody guessed $125 up, $224 up. But this is crazy because if I recall, it was yesterday, right? Yesterday, the public count was what? $21 down, I think, or something like that, or $21 up. Wasn't it yesterday? And so to then see this number here today is just pretty much laughable. I would describe it as that, right? Pretty much laughable to see that it's, these sorts of small numbers for such a large account. But anyways, I feel like things are trolling a little bit now at this point in time. So appreciate y'all. Much love as always. Thank you so much for being here, folks. Thank you for following. Thank you for having notifications on, being subscribed, all that good stuff. Going to prepare you a video for the main channel now on PayPal and Palantir. And then we'll roll from that. So yeah, much love and have a great day.